Hi biologists, let's start by looking at the learning objectives for this lesson. Take note that this material is for the higher level biology paper only. At the end of this section and following the biology syllabus, you should be able to explain the mechanism of plant response to any one external stimulus. What does this actually mean? What are we trying to learn? This is very straightforward. Basically, you have to be able to explain how a plant responds to any one external stimulus. In our case, we are going to explain how a plant responds to light or explain the mechanism of phototropism. Before we can study the mechanism of phototropism, we need to revisit our previous knowledge. Growth regulators, if you remember, are chemicals that control growth in a plant. Auxins are examples of growth regulators. They promote or encourage growth in a plant. There are many different types of auxin. Indole acetic acid, IAA, IAA, as we can see here, is a common example. This is often simply called auxin. IAA is a growth promoter. It encourages growth in a plant. It promotes cell elongation. It works by loosening the cellulose fibers in the plant cell walls, allowing them to expand. Now, IAA is active in responses to external stimuli, for example, light and gravity. You might remember phototropism and geotropism. Can you recall from a previous video the definition of phototropism? Remember, we had to learn it. Phototropism is the growth response of a plant to light. This light is usually unilateral light or unidirectional light, meaning that it comes from one side. A positive phototropism is where the growth is towards the stimulus. Remember, O in positive, O in grow, and O in towards. So a positive phototropism involves growth towards the stimulus. So here, a positive phototropism involves stems growing towards light. A negative tropism, or here, negative phototropism, involves growth away from the stimulus. As you can see, GA, growth away from the stimulus. In this case, a negative phototropism would be where the roots grow away from the light. Now back to our point. IAA is active in responses to external stimuli. IAA is active in phototropism. IAA causes cell elongation. This is essential for normal growth and bending for tropisms. Now that we've laid the groundwork, we should now be able to understand the mechanism of phototropism, which is the objective of this lesson. Auxin, or IAA, is made in the stem meristematic tissue. This meristematic tissue, found at the tips of stems, can sometimes be called or referred to as coleoptiles. This was because oat coleoptiles were used in the original research to find or understand the mechanism of phototropism. There's no need to lose too much sleep over this word coleoptile, but it's no harm to have it mentioned in connection with the meristematic tissue found at the tip of the stem. When light from the side, unilateral light, shines on this meristematic tissue, the auxin diffuses down the shaded side of the stem. This means that the shaded side of the stem has a higher auxin concentration, as we can see here in picture A. As a result of this higher auxin concentration, the cells on the shaded side will grow towards the light. Not only will the stem grow towards the light, but it will also increase in length. The cells on the shaded side elongate due to the unequal distribution or the higher concentration of auxin on the shaded side. However, I know from experience that a lot of people have difficulty in visualizing or seeing this, but they have no difficulty in picking the proper running track if we imagine that this is like a race. If we have a running track where two people are going to run a race, and you have the choice of track, well, everybody in the audience will pick the green, the light green track, because everyone can see immediately that you will have the shorter race to run. We will put the faster person or the competition on the outside track because they will have a longer race to run. So if you imagine the stem to be like a running track, then everybody will be able to see that the outside track or the dark green one is longer than the inside track or the bright side of the stem. So therefore the cells elongate or got longer on the shaded side, causing the stem to bend towards the light. So in a nutshell, IAA or auxin is made in the growth tip in the meristematic tissue of the stem. In unilateral light from one side, the IAA diffuses down the shaded side of the stem. This higher concentration of IAA causes the cells to elongate more than the cells on the bright side. Therefore, the stem will bend towards the light. Phototropism occurs. And there you have it. That's the mechanism of phototropism. Practice in a jotter. Now that we have reached the end of our lesson, have we achieved our objective? Can you explain the mechanism of plant response to any one external stimulus? Can you explain the mechanism of phototropism?